Cops of Reddit, what are some of the best worst ways people have tried to get out of getting a ticket from you? My dad was pulled over going way too fast on the interstate late at night, like 1 to 2 am. He is an anesthesiologist and got called into work because someone had been shot. It turned out that the person who had been shot was a cop, and so not only did my dad not receive a ticket, he got a police escort to the hospital, and he has refused to tell me exactly how fast they went. Hearing that story as a kid made me think my very by the book awkward dad was super cool. Working for a small town where everyone knows everyone, I see a car blow a stop sign at a high rate of speed without tapping their brakes or slowing down. I pull the car over, and it's a woman that had served me lunch at our local diner earlier in the day. When I walk up, I see her starting to cry until she recognizes me. Then magically the tears were instantly gone. We make small chit chat for a couple minutes and she tells me thank God it's you who pulled me over, or else I know I'd be getting a ticket. I laugh and ask for her ID just for formalities. I wasn't planning on giving her a citation until I saw her past record. In the previous 3 months she had been pulled over 7 times and given 5 citations. Everything from speeding, mostly for over 25 miles per hour the posted limit, and running stop signs. Seeing this, I know she hasn't learned her lesson about safe driving and needs another reminder. So I write her. I go back to her car and she starts screaming at me saying I thought you were one of the cool cops. I tell her to have a nice night and to take a moment to calm down before she drives off. She tells me screw you and rolls up her window. Just because I know you doesn't mean I'm automatically going to let you go. And if I do write you, it doesn't mean I'm not a cool cop. Pulled over in an unregistered vehicle. They tried to offer me money. Behind me was a very large group of students watching on. All of them had access to my microphone to hear what was going on. I tried to explain this to the driver. He simply wouldn't listen or didn't understand. Not that it would have made a difference, but I would have preferred to avoid having to arrest him for a stupid mistake. He ended up getting arrested for a range of charges. Do you know why I pulled you over? So it wouldn't be so windy while we talked? Co-worker of mine was speeding one day on a southbound highway. Told the cop, hey man, I know you got to give me a ticket, but please write out for northbound, or else my wife will think I'm cheating on her. The cop laughed and told him to slow down and let him off. He was not married, nor was he even seeing anybody. Smart. He could then dispute the ticket and prove he wasn't on the northbound. As a patrol officer, you pull cars over multiple times a day. After almost 10 years in law enforcement, I've pulled over many. I've heard them all. Best, that would have to be the guy I pulled over for speeding. I made my approach. Guy rolls down window. I said my speech. He looks me right in the eye and softly says I was speeding. I'm sorry, but, you see, I am in the military. Just an hour ago I got back from my tour in Iraq. My girlfriend here just picked me up from the airport, and to be honest, I was rushing home to my 2-minute welcome home bang session. Looking in the backseat I seen military style duffel bags, miscellaneous military BDU uniforms, a folded up welcome home banner, and his girlfriend in passenger seat gave me this yay, that's the truth look. Have fun, I said, and handed him back his license. Worst, oh man, there's so many. I have to take a crap is used more often than one might think. The ones I always enjoy are, well, I know officer so and so very well. He'll get me out of this. That's guaranteed to get you a ticket. Following closely is the do you not have anything better to do than harass the public? Nope, not today. Not this exact moment. You're the lucky winner. Press hard. Get dispatched to an accident and find a Corolla flipped onto its roof. Driver was sitting on the curb with very minor injuries and no one else was hurt in the collision. I ended up arresting driver for DUI. She was 19 and this was her 3rd DUI. Her response, why are we wasting each other's time? Just let me go. It's not like I killed anyone. Unfortunately, with the way the courts work in LA County, she was probably going to get off without any consequences. Someone I knew was trying to get out of drinking and driving. She went up to the cop and was like, listen, we're all white here. Needless to say, she went to jail. Plot twist, cop was black. Flirting is always bad, but is especially bad when the driver is really old, really young, or has their family in the car with them. I don't consider myself to be super attractive, but people will do anything to get out of a ticket. Threatening the officer is also pretty bad. That's happened before. Sometimes it is threatening to kill my family if I write them a ticket, but sometimes people get a little more creative. Some racist people assume that I am an illegal immigrant and threaten to report me if I write them a ticket. That one always makes me laugh. Bribing is always interesting. Some of the things people come up with are actually kind of funny. As a driver, had cop pull me over. I was 17 roughly, driving my mom's new car at almost 30 over in a residential area. Cop walks up, asks if it's a new car. Yup, bet you can't even hear the engine when it gets going. Yup, steering is probably pretty good, right? Yup, etc for several more questions. Then just walks back to his car and drives off. His point was well established, but it was weird as heck to me at the time. I literally never offered one excuse. He did, and I just sat there answering yup. Not a cop, but I've seen many of my ex's ways on avoiding tickets and she has avoided many tickets. Her best escape was by faking being mute. Unfortunately, she knows sign language. Most cops would feel bad ticketing her so they just let her go, while I feel bad for those cops. I have some old buddies that know sign language, and they pull this crap out on any and all cops. It's freaking hilarious, but not as much as when they inevitably find a cop that also knows sign language. One lady yelled and cursed at me while saying I was wasting my time dealing with her when I should be getting the real bad and dangerous drivers out there. She was stopped for going 17 miles per hour over in an active school zone. Only a cadet, but I do go on ride-alongs. Someone tried to get out of a ticket by using religion. They had said that they were a great Christian and didn't deserve a ticket. Called us evil. Got a ticket. Anytime a person proclaims they are a good Christian, I know they are about to try something shady. My dad once pulled over a woman who claimed she had diarrhea and that's why she was driving so fast. He's an understanding guy, so naturally he let her drive home, but followed her and wrote the ticket there. Relevance. My friend had a theory that if you could make a cop laugh, you can get out of a ticket. I'd watched him do this on 3 occasions. Once, he was actually going 40 miles over the posted limit, a felony, and he told the cop that he was trying to get tampons to his girlfriend who was cheering at our high school football away game. That was the actual truth. She clocked him going 95 in a 55. Let him off with a warning after some easy chat and a few laughs. The best, though, was when he got pulled over for having a busted turn signal. He handed the cop his license and asked, "Do you think I look better now when I took that picture?" The cop looked up and hesitated like he actually thought about it. We all laughed and the cop went back to his car. He walked back with his hand on his gun and said, "Do you realize there's a warrant out for your arrest?" Stunned silence. Step out of the vehicle. He unbuttons his holster. "I'm just fricking with you, man. You frick with me and I'm gonna frick with you." My friend claimed he wasn't scared, but that's complete balls. We all laughed. Cop let us go with a warning. Not a cop, but a friend was once stopped for a broken headlight. In my country there's a fine for that. He didn't know what to do, so he got out of his car. No paranoid police here. And told the officer that the light does that sometimes and kicked it. It actually freaking worked. The light turned back on and he was off his way. I've done the same. Had an old Volvo that if you hit the passenger side light, it would come on. One night I forgot to give it the old bump and drove off. Pulled over. The officer asked if I knew it was out, and I told him the secret. He hit it for me. Came back and said, "Well, I can tell you have better things to spend your money on. I'll let you off with a warning." Not a cop, but I've been pulled over 5+ times and have never had a ticket. I also have several family friends who are officers. 2 best pieces of advice I have. 1. Be as perfectly respectful and polite as you can. Please, thank you. Yes sir ma'am, no sir ma'am. 2. If it is nighttime, turn on all your interior lights before the officer even gets to your window. It is a lot less scary approaching a car that you can see inside of. This is not the car you're looking for. In an Obi-Wan Kenobi impression with the hand wave. The coolest thing I witnessed a friend do that worked and got him out of a speeding ticket. The officer tried hard not to crack, then just bent over below the window line where we couldn't see him but could hear him laugh. He then raised himself and said, "You have a good day," then left. Am I being detained, officer? Yes. Something along the lines of, "Well, frick. He literally thought asking if he was being detained would get him out of a ticket, like the YouTube videos he'd been watching. I guess you could say it worked, because instead of a ticket he got a summons to court. I had a lady offer me a job once. A real one, not a blow job. Motorist, why aren't you out catching murderers? Cop, we have a homicide squad for that. I'm a veteran and rolled through a stop sign near the VA hospital. It was at a T section and everyone always only looked in the one direction and rolled through, and this cop knew that and was waiting. He would just walk onto the road and point at you and tell you to pull over, then give you a ticket. On this day he caught me and the lady behind me. We pull over. He checks her ID, then approaches my vehicle and asks me for mine. I gave him my license and he posits whether I have any other forms of it. I hand him my veteran's card. He takes a look, then hands both back and says if she served I'd let her off too. Remember to come to a complete stop next time. Have a good day, bud. Plot twist. She was my wife and I still ended up paying the ticket. I love the video of the woman talking to an officer that pulled her over for failure to stop. I thought you didn't give pretty girls tickets? Pardon me? I thought you didn't give pretty girls tickets? You didn't think we gave pretty girls tickets? You're absolutely right. We don't. Sign here. Police brutality. Former highway patrol officer. More than anything, I've had people say they are in a hurry to get to the bathroom. On more than one occasion, they've even gone as far as to pee themselves in hopes to avoid a ticket. Also not a cop, but my best friend got out of a ticket for accidentally flashing a boob at the officer. She had just gotten a tattoo that went around the outside of her breast and couldn't wear a bra while it was healing. She was pulled over for speeding, and while nervously trying to get her ID, insurance, and registration, her boob fell out of her tank top. The police officer kept trying to get her attention and she got frustrated and sort of yelled, "Yes, I know, license and registration. Give me a minute," and the officer responded with, "Miss, please, your shirt." She looked down, became beet red, and quickly tucked her boob back in and handed him her paperwork without trying to make any eye contact. The officer started laughing, but he realized she was incredibly embarrassed and not actually trying to flash him, so he told her just to slow it down and let her go. She's gotten out of a few other tickets pretty ingeniously, but that's my favorite story. Not a cop, but someone I know got pulled over doing about 80 in a 50, and when the officer approached his window and asked why were you driving so fast, this person's response was, "Sorry officer, I was trying to get my flux capacitor up to speed." The cop didn't find it very funny. I feel a lot of these stories go one way or another based on the officer's sense of humor. One gave me a get out of jail Monopoly card. Let him off with a warning. What else could I do? He had the card. My mom actually did this accidentally before. She had her registration in a plastic holder and had forgotten that her friend had stuck a get out of jail free card on the other side. Got pulled over and handed the whole plastic thing to the cop. He laughed and let her go. This was in like 1992 or 1993. I was pretty young but still remember it happening. I crested a hill going 85 in a 70 only to see an officer sitting on the side of the road in his Ford Explorer. I knew he had me, so I pulled over before he could even pull out and turn his lights on. When he came up to my window, he noticed a little helicopter sticker on the side of my car. Seeing the sticker, he asked me, "They let you drive like that on Fort Rooker?" It was a pretty good assumption since that's where Army Flight School is, and I was about an hour away from the base. Of course, me being smart and not stationed there anymore, replied, "I don't know sir, I'm stationed at Fort Benning." To which he fired back, "They let you drive like that on Fort Benning?" I gave him a chuckle and a "No sir, let me go" with a verbal warning. Overall it was a 8/10 experience. Would do over. Before the law or SOP changed to having to be 18 for a police ride along, I did one with my police officer dad when I was 11 for Take Your Daughter to Work Day. It was a day shift and there wasn't much action going on. About midway through the shift, my dad parked on the side of the road and let me handle the radar gun. Out of nowhere, a car comes speeding down a nearby hill marked 30 miles per hour. I clocked the car at 90 miles per hour. My dad clicks on the lights and sirens and takes off after it. It doesn't slow down. Before I know it, we are doing 110 miles per hour on a CTH. We go for about 5 miles and this car still won't stop or slow down. She hits a mailbox and makes her trash can fly. Dad calls for backup and soon there are 2 squad cars going after this car. I'm frickin' pumped. This is the most intense action I've ever experienced in my 11 years of life. Way better than being at school. The car finally pulls over. It doesn't take long to notice that the windows of the car are missing and are replaced with saran wrap, duct tape to the car. I should probably share that at this point of his life. My dad was about 325 pounds, 6 feet 5, shaved head, and intimidating as heck. If I got in trouble, all this guy had to do was look at me with angry eyes, and I would immediately wish for a quick, swift death. Dad goes up to the car, lets me get out of the squad and stand by near the hood of said squad, and has the driver get out. It's a middle-aged woman who weighs maybe 125 and clocks in at around 5 feet 2 height-wise. My dad brings his face down to hers, inches away, looks at her with eyes that could kill and asks in an intimidating yet controlled manner, "Why the heck were you going so fast and why the heck didn't you pull over when I had my sirens and lights going?" The woman tells my dad that she didn't pull over because she didn't hear or see him behind her. My dad, with bladed hand inches from her face, if you were ever in army basic training, you know exactly what kind of bladed hand gesture I'm talking about, asks, "You're telling me that you didn't hear or see me when you have no goddamn windows on your car? You have dang saran wrap on your windows." As soon as my dad finishes this question, the lady replies, "Sir, I just wet myself." My dad made her pee her pants just with a look and a question. I didn't get to stick around for the aftermath because my dad asked the responding officer to take me back to the station so he could continue with the arrest. When I got older, I asked my dad about the lady. Apparently she blew a .34 on the breathalyzer at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yikes. Definitely the coolest take your daughter to work day ever. One time a dude made a documentary to prove his innocence, but it didn't work. Not a cop, but I got out of a ticket on the way to the midnight premiere of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. I was dressed as Gandalf and the officer told me to slow down or I shall not pass. We had a laugh and he let me go after giving me a warning. Small town cops are the best. I was once pulled over for a rolling stop through a stop sign at an otherwise empty intersection. The cop said to me something along the lines of, "You shouldn't be driving like that with your daughter in the car with you." I then let him know that she was actually my wife and not my daughter. He turned a shade of red very similar to the lights on the roof of his car, told us to have a nice day, and went back to his car. Humor and or embarrassment can usually get you out of a ticket as long as it's respectful. Not a cop, but the cop at the courthouse where we got our licenses told us this one. In Virginia you can have only one non-family member under 18 in the car until you are 18. He pulled over this kid in his parents' van filled with his friends who definitely were not 18. He asked the kid if these were all his brothers and sisters. The kid turned to him and said, "In the eyes of God we are." He didn't get a ticket. You have been visited by Moneybird. Upvote in 5,861 seconds and you will get rich. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.